Hey, welcome to your Gemini horoscopes for the week of September 17th through 23rd, officially the week that Mercury's retrograde and shadow period end on Friday. Yay! And we have nothing to influence Gemini this week. No planets, no secondary planets, no moon, no nothing. Seems like a pretty quiet week. But we are focused on relationships this week. And with the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde being most of the week, it's not going to be as quiet as you think it is, of course. One of the things that's really coming up for me around relationships for you guys is two things. One, relationships fall into patterns. And when you're stuck in a pattern, nothing ever changes. And when nothing ever changes, it's very destructive to the relationship. And patterns can be ways of doing things, but they can also be ways of communicating as well. But your quintessential, we just don't talk anymore because he comes home from work and he reads the paper and he watches TV and he goes to bed. And that's really the pattern you sort of fallen into. There's no romance, all of those things have to be worked on in relationships. You have to be mindful almost every single day of these things, to not necessarily avoid the patterns, but to make sure you don't fall in so deep that it's really difficult to get out of it. The other thing that really comes up for you guys this week, in terms of relationships, is that I really feel like, because we tend to fall into patterns within our relationships, one of the big things about that is communication and communication patterns. Very specifically, we tend to have reaction patterns. We tend to react to things in the moment, and all of our old relationship crap from previous relationships also comes into that. So we tend to get defensive, not at the person in front of us always necessarily, but we get defensive at the trigger, and we react to the trigger, and we actually progress that energy towards that particular individual who is not necessarily deserving of it in every single case. So I feel like this week is a really good time to focus on and be mindful of how you are communicating to your partner. Now, this is really important. You don't want to put yourself in the mindset that you have to completely change your communication to something that is unlike you, something that is quote unquote fake. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to be mindful that the words that you use in those situations are not verbal attacks towards the individual. This creates a fight. And what you're trying to do is have a conversation without necessarily having to be right. That's what kills relationships every single time. Trust me. I'm in a relationship with another airhead. It's a constant battle of which one of us is right, and really it doesn't do our relationship any good, so we try to avoid it as much as possible. But you always fall into it. It's okay, as long as you're realizing that you're doing it and you're putting a stop to it. That's the whole point. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do click the link and send me a copy. I would really appreciate that. If you're listening rather than viewing, that's ko-fi.com/heavy metal psychic. And I'm the heavy metal psychic, Melissa Bruce. I hope you enjoy your horoscopes, and I will see you guys next week. In the meantime, have a very communicative, productive relationship or week. Not relationship. Well, relationship and week. How about that? I'm like totally going crazy here. My brain just went, that's it. Must be too much of that Gemini energy. I'll see you guys next week. Make it a great one.